Welcome to your Preply English lesson on phrasal verbs for business. My name is Jenny, and I will be your Preply tutor today. Also, I am the English curriculum lead at Preply, and I'm excited to share with you some of these wonderful materials that we design for Preply students to use with their tutors. Okay, so today we will talk about phrasal verbs, but a quick reminder, what is a phrasal verb? Hmm. Well, a phrasal verb, just to remind you, it is a verb with more than one part, usually a main verb and then one or two smaller words, adverbs or prepositions, usually. They work together to create one meaning. So you might have used, for example, pick up or drop off. These are very common examples of phrasal verbs. So today we will look at these wonderful Preply materials for phrasal verbs for business. But before we do this, I'm excited to share with you a little thank you gift for coming to this lesson, for joining us today. If you look below, you will find a place to click for 50% off your first lesson at Preply. So please use this link for signing up for your Preply lessons, or feel free to share it with friends and family. They can sign up too. Okay, the other thing today, I will keep a little look at the chat. So if you have ideas you want to share, I see Kay is already sharing some wonderful ideas in the chat. Please feel free to share your examples, share with the group, share your answers when we do some of the exercises together. Okay, so let's look now at this sample lesson on phrasal verbs for business. I'm going to just show you what that would look like if you were a student at Preply. You would be able to open this topic up, and you see that there's self-study exercises and a live lesson exercise. The self-study exercises are for you. You can do these on your phone, you can do them in the park, in your kitchen, on the bus, on your computer. Do them anytime, anywhere, and you can also bring them to your live lesson to talk about them with your tutor. And then, of course, we want to give you something extra for the live lesson. So we give you the speaking practice with questions and ideas that you can talk about with your tutor. Okay, so today we will look at two examples of self-study exercises, and we will talk about some of the questions and ideas in the live lesson speaking prompts. Okay, so let's get started here. First, with a little vocabulary exercise. So the vocabulary exercise, well, of course, we're learning vocabulary, specifically phrasal verbs. These are 5 phrasal verbs that I hear almost every day when I'm working, even in real life around me all the time. They're very common. So let's look at them together. Our first phrasal verb is keep up with. Keep up with. What does this mean? Well, keep up with means to move at the same speed as others. In other words, you're not moving ahead, you're not going behind, you're keeping up with what is expected or the same speed that somebody else is doing something. So we have the example sentence, I can keep up with my daily tasks. It's no problem. Okay, do you have an example sentence using keep up with? Feel free to type it in the chat. You can share your examples too. Okay, now I want to show you also, as a student at Preply, when you're doing these exercises, you'll have a nice picture. You will also be able
Keep up
to
with.
listen to the pronunciation and repeat. So that's a nice feature to have. Okay, number 2, come up with. Come up with. The meaning of come up with, we have produce on the spot. In other words, to think of an idea, to come up with an idea. Ah, I just came up with an idea. I think I should share an example with you. So here is the example. Can you and the team come up with some ideas for our advertisement? Okay. Number 3. Ooh, I know this one. I know a lot of people know this one. Burn out. A lot of people today talk about this idea to burn out, to become tired. So tired. ah, you worked too hard, you're stressed out, and now you can't work because you burned out. So we have an example on this one. We want to make sure that stress levels are manageable and no one is burning out. Oh, I see. We have new lyrics to a song. Oh, I think Kay is writing a song. Kay, I hope it doesn't burn you out. I hope you're not stressed. All right. So if you have any examples, type them in the chat. But let's continue to number 4. Deal with. This word or this phrasal verb I hear all the time. To deal with something is to solve a problem or to perform a task. Basically, if you deal with it, you get it done. You do it. It's okay. And we have the example I have to deal with a variety of problems every day at work. I think we all deal with a lot of things every day. I know you're dealing with learning a new language right now, and you're doing a great job. This is an excellent place to be. Okay, one more for you. This is another one I hear all the time, wrap up. Wrap up means finish, to end, or to complete something. So I'm going to wrap up the presentation with a review and an invitation to email any feedback. So you might wrap up a meeting, you might wrap up a phone call, you finish it. All right, so together, let's look now at a paragraph where we will add these 5 phrasal verbs. So just a reminder, we're thinking keep up with, come up with, burn out, deal with, and wrap up. Okay, so if you have an idea for the answer, please type it in the chat, but let's look together at the first sentence and let's see if you can guess correctly. Ooh, so we have okay. Before we the meeting today, I'd like to talk about your task list. This sounds like before we wrap up the meeting today, before we finish the meeting, I'd like to talk about your task list. Okay, let's look at the next one. I think we should a plan to help you all the things you need to do. We have 2 blanks. Does anybody know what we should put in the first blank? Well, a plan. We want to think of a plan. So I think we should come up with a plan to help you. Now, I can think of 2 that I might use in this next blank, but I'll tell you why I'm going to answer this way. Keep up with, to help you keep up with all the things you need to do. Remember, keep up with is to move at the same speed. So I've got a lot of things to do. I need to keep up with those things. I need to move at the necessary speed. And the next blank, I'm going to save a special phrasal verb for this one. I know you said you can all your tasks. Ooh, remember, this is one we do every day. Almost all of us, we deal with all of our tasks. I know you said you can deal with all your tasks, but I don't want you to feel stressed. We don't want you to, I know you know the answer here, burn out. We don't want you to burn out. We want you to burn brightly. We want you to be strong. All right, great job, everyone. So here are all of the blanks filled out, and if I were a student, I can click to continue right on to the next exercise. So congratulations, everyone. Great work here. I am now going to move us from that vocabulary exercise into a special dialogue exercise. Now, again, a reminder, this is the type of exercise you can do on your own. You can do it anywhere on your phone, on your computer. And then if you have questions, if you want to practice with your tutor, you can bring it to your live lesson too. So we will look at a conversation. It's a conversation with Joanna and Joey, and they are going to have a short meeting. Now, inside the conversation, we will need to complete some sentences together. So let's work on this now. All right, so
Hi, Joey.
I
Do you have 10
hear
minutes for a quick
Joanna,
meeting?
and she says, "Hi, Joey. Do you have 10 minutes for a quick meeting?" And then Joey replies, "Sure. Is there anything I should be?" Now we have 4 possible answers at the bottom. Do you know what you would answer here? We can see it's something with worry, but which form is correct? Is there anything I should be
Sure. Is
worried
there
about?
anything I should be worried about?
Okay, so if you picked
No,
worried,
quite
you
the
are
opposite.
correct.
HR has asked me
Then
to talk to our
Joanna
team to make sure that
responds,
everyone is feeling okay at the
"No,
moment.
quite the opposite. HR has asked me to talk to our team to make sure that everyone is feeling okay at the moment." Now, I want to pause and let you know I'm reading this, and this is the type of practice that I suggest you do with a tutor. Read, practice, ask questions about the language. But I'll also remind you there's the button here. You can push this when you are studying by yourself and you can listen. You can hear Joanna and you can hear Joey talking to you. Okay, now Joanna is going to continue talking and we need to help her. "We want to make sure that stress levels in the company are manageable and that no one is," ooh, I bet you remember this one,
We want to
"burning.
make sure that stress
No one
levels in the
is
company are
burning
manageable and that no
out."
one is burning out.
All right, excellent work. Now we turn next to Joey. Okay, if you know the answer, type it in the chat. Let me know. All right, we need to choose a preposition. So I think we're going to finish a phrasal verb. Let's see what we have. Oh, I think I know this one. Joey says, "Okay, right now I can deal with
Okay.
the
Right
amount
now
of
I can
work I
deal with the
have,
amount of work I
but it
have,
would be
but it would
good
be
to go
good to
through my
go through
task
my
list with
task
you."
list with you.
That's exactly what I wanted.
That's exactly
I'd
what
like
I
to have a look
wanted.
at what you have on your
I
plate
like
and
to
your
have a
plan to
look
get the
at
work
what you
done.
have on your plate and your plan to get the work done. Okay, we need to help Joanne with the next one. And again, we're going to be completing a phrasal verb. It's one you've seen before. Do you remember the answer? Then we can come, oh my goodness, these all create phrasal verbs. Which one's correct? Well, we know because we studied our vocabulary, we can come up with
Then
a
we can come up
plan
with a plan to
to
make sure
make
you can meet your
sure you
deadlines.
can meet your deadlines. And Joey replies, "Okay, well, I have my usual daily tasks, which I can," ooh, you know this one too. I see up is coming next. Up with. I think our answer is keep
Okay.
up with
Well, I have my
without
usual daily
any
tasks, which I
problems.
can keep up with without any problems.
And Joey continues, "Ooh, I'm going to look ahead, and you can always do this yourself. Stick." Oh, this is a new one. Okay, challenge for everyone in the audience. Can you recognize this phrasal verb? Joey says, "What I find difficult is when unexpected tasks come up. Should I focus on those or should I stick
What I find difficult
to
is when
my
unexpected
normal
tasks
work?"
come up. Should I
Yes,
focus
to
on those,
stick to
or should I
something.
stick to my normal work?
So to keep focused on
That's a
it,
great
to,
question. I would say it
stick
depends on the task.
like you're stuck to something. Okay, and Joanna replies, "That's a great question. I would say it depends on the task. You should," here's another new one. We see that we have up following, catch up, make up, way up, lift up. They all make phrasal verbs. Which one's the correct meaning here? Now, this one might be a bit of a challenge. We didn't look at it before, but I can tell you, you should Weigh
You should
up
weigh up how urgent it
how
is compared to how
urgent
long
it
you think it
is
will take
compared
you.
to how long you think it will take you. All right, and Joanna continues, then you can make a decision about whether to do the new task immediately or, ooh, another challenge with a phrasal verb,
Then you can make a
put
decision
it
about whether to do
off
the new task
until
immediately or
later.
put it off until later.
This is a great example of a
Yes,
phrasal verb
that's a
you
good
might
way
want to
to
talk
approach
about
the
with your
issue.
tutor in the live lesson
Okay,
because there's a
let's wrap
lot
up
to
now
talk
and we can
about
continue with this
with the
discussion in
different
our next
parts.
meeting.
All right, and then we finish the conversation. I'm going to let you read that on screen while I continue us forward. As a student, again, I could click to continue on my phone and keep doing these exercises. However, for this class today, I would like to give you an opportunity. I would like to share with you a little bit of the live lesson speaking prompts that we have. They're really beautiful, they're really simple. So let's move now to our live lesson, and we will look together at a few examples. Now, of course, there's a lot of great information inside the live lesson, but let's focus on a few things that we talked about today. So we'll click to open it up to preview. Now, you as a student, when you are studying your Preply materials, you can open this before class. You can begin to think about these questions. Okay, let's take a look together. This first slide, ooh, this is on the heavy idea of burning out. So we've got a statement, we've got something to get us started thinking. A person might burn out when they have too much stress for a long time. Tasks are no longer fun. Okay, so my question for you to think about, and if you want to type an answer, please type in the chat. But I want to ask you, how do you make sure that you won't burn out? Ooh, that's a big question. We could talk about a lot of ideas. I'll share some of my ideas. For example, I like to take a little break. I like to meditate for a moment, clear my mind, and just daydream for just a moment. Or maybe sometimes I just put my phone away. And these things help me so I don't burn out when I am trying to deal with all of my daily tasks. So, what helps you? How do you make sure that you don't burn out? Okay, think about that one. And I'm going to continue to our next slide to show you the next example here. Here's the phrasal verb we saw in our dialogue. Weigh up, weighing up your options. It's just what it sounds like when you weigh up something. You look at the good, you look at the bad. So we have our statement. You must think about the advantages and the disadvantages before coming up with a new plan. Okay, so how do you weigh up your options? Hmm, here's an interesting question for you. Do you ever make up your mind without weighing up the situation? Ooh. And what happens? So there's something that maybe you like to make up your mind very quickly and you don't weigh up your options. Well, what might happen? It might be a big risk, or maybe it's a big reward. Think about your life. When is it good and when is it bad to weigh up your options before you come up with a new plan? All right, next slide, we move on and we talk about keeping up with your goals. I love this slide. This is an important slide for anyone who is studying language. So I will leave you a question to think about here. When someone has difficulty keeping up with details, what tips would you give them? Hmm. If it's keeping up with studying a language, I would give you the tip that you might want to talk to your Preply tutor about that because they can be wonderful at helping you set smaller goals to reach the big goal. So that's one way to keep up with your goals. Okay, our last slide today, you guessed it, we are going to talk about wrapping up. This slide is about wrapping up a meeting, and you could talk about your business experience wrapping up meetings. Right now, I am going to wrap up our lesson, and I want to thank you very much for joining me for this sample of Preply materials that you can use in your Preply live lesson with your tutor. Also, you can use them to study on your own independently. Okay, a reminder, look below for that discount button to get 50% off when you sign up for your first lesson with Preply. Share that link with your friends and family. Come on over and join us today. Thank you very much for taking this lesson with me, Jenny, your Preply tutor. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.